Are you aware that what's happening around us today, maybe in your own life, maybe in that of loved ones, is the mental health crisis of a generation? What are we talking about? Well, really, it's unprecedented in history, but immediately after the advent of social media and the ubiquitous use of our smartphones, we saw dramatic changes in the data, spikes on every mental health measure, 50% rise in ADHD diagnoses in just 10 years, 60% rise in those who would qualify for depression if seeking diagnoses, particularly among young people, 60% rise in depression in only 6 years. Suicide for young teens, unheard of, doubles in just a short period of time. What is going on here? With loneliness, with anxiety-related disorders, with disruptive mood dysregulation disorders, stress, you name it. Well, you can put it to the test. Let's take people off social media for just 1 week, or take them down to just 30 minutes a day for just 1 week. This was studied in Denmark, also at University of Pennsylvania. 36% drop in loneliness when you get off social media for 1 week. 33% drop in depression when you get off social media for 1 week. But my favorite story, my favorite intervention is done by Dr. Victoria Dunkley. She reports on this in her book, Reset Your Child's Brain. If you've got children, read this book and consider the counsel in it. Here's what she does. She has young people who come in with the previously diagnosed disorders. So on the spectrum of the happiest person in the world down to the most depressed person in the world, these are the people on this side of the spectrum who qualify somewhere for what they have to call depression. There's a diagnostic threshold here. Anybody to that side of the spectrum on how happy or depressed you are is depressed. And the same thing for attention span, good attention span, bad. Here's the worst. This is what we call ADHD, and for disruptive moods and for anxiety. So she's getting the toughest cases, those who have been previously diagnosed with some mental health condition. And the parents are going to her not for a pharmaceutical approach, not for the traditional psychiatric approach, but she is a psychiatrist who specializes in a unique intervention, a natural approach to mental health. And it's simply this: a 3 to 4 week media fast. And not down to 30 minutes a day, not a little bit here and there, not low stimulating healthy media, like zero screen time, as radical and hardcore as a human being can achieve. 3 to 4 weeks, these children and young people, no media. And here are the results. 80% of her patients have the majority of their symptoms disappear. And half of her patients have all of their symptoms gone after 3 to 4 weeks of just a media fast. And that's not adding anything replacing the media necessarily. That's especially helpful, like nature exposure, super good for mental health. Bible reading or book reading, service of others, practical hobbies. Who knows what these young people are doing? You could stare at a blank white wall and still be in her data. But just removing the overstimulating media, in fact, all media, but most of it, if we're honest, is overstimulating. And what that's doing is harming brain development in a major way. This is a global crisis. This is a massive scandal that big tech is perpetuating upon a generation. And we can call it out, and we can free our young people, save our young people from these disruptions that are getting them down, that are harming them, that are making them unhappy. Consider her research. Here's what she says. I began prescribing video game restriction with startling results. I observed how the vast majority of children exhibited certain symptoms surrounding gameplay, symptoms strikingly similar to amphetamine exposure, that resolved in the days or weeks of complete abstention. Their development would grow by leaps and bounds when screens were most restricted. And of course, as a content creator myself, if I'm part of the problem, shut this channel right down. I would be honored to be a part of your media fast if you want to give it a trial. But a lot more needs to be said about this topic. I've given you a tiny window into a huge discussion. It's all in the seminar, The Media Mind: Reclaiming the Human Soul in the Digital Dark Age. You can view that at beltoftruth.tv. If you want to pick up Dr. Dunkley's book, Reset Your Child's Brain, that's at our web store at beltoftruthministries.org. Use the coupon code YT. You'll get a discount there. But that's all for today. Have a blessed and very happy and healthy day in Christ.